What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing out there today? Welcome back to Wildcat MTG, and today we're going to do a little OTJ collector box battle. Most of y'all know how this works, but for those of you who don't, how this thing is going to work is we have 4 participants. We're going to open this thing up. Every one of them is going to get 3 packs. We're going to open those packs in rounds of 3, adding up the mana values for all the rares and all the mythics, and at the end of this thing, the person with the highest total mana value and the person with the lowest total mana value will each get 1 additional Outlaws of Thunder Junction collector pack. In the event of a tie, we will take the highest mana value mythic as the first tiebreaker, the highest mana value rare as a second tiebreaker, and if we need a third tiebreaker, perhaps we'll have some sort of jousting contest, maybe a pie eating contest, something of that sort, or we'll simply go down the line with the highest mana value rare until we have a tie no more. All right, so don't look now, but OTJ like kind of silently creeping its way back up, or creeping its way up, I should say. A lot of that driven by cards on the big score bonus sheet. So OTJ, Outlaws of Thunder Junction has what, triple bonus sheet? You have breaking news, you have big score, and special guest. There we go. I was like, I'm forgetting one. But the big score stuff, there's a lot of good cards on there that is driving some serious value in this set. And as a result, I think Outlaws kind of finally getting its due. It's a set that I think most of my patrons would back me up when I say that I've been a fan of. I think it's a little bit underappreciated, and now that since the big score hasn't been reprinted, and essentially the only way you can get them is by opening Outlaw packs, there's some stuff on there that is really, really pricey. All right, Steve H, we start with you. Good luck, everybody. Let's have some fun. Big score showcase cards actually have a really nice premium on it. So yes, we want as many big score possible. But if we hit anything in the nice showcase versions, those actually have a really decent multiplier on them too. Okay, we're going to start out with our breaking news card. This is Skullcrack. It is a Skullcrack foil. And then we have a Void Slime. So that's a 2 for mana value. And then a 3. The one whiff on the collector packs is the Commander spot is largely kind of a dead spot in the pack. There's not a ton of value there. Not to say that there's not some good playable cards. Strictly from a value perspective, it's kind of a dead spot in the pack. That is a 3 for mana value on the bounty board. Ty Joaquin, perfect shot. That is a 2. And, we got a mythic. Oh, yeah. And I was just going to say, and with Tarkir out, don't look now, but the Terror of the Peaks reprint couldn't have come sooner. These were down to like $17, and now I think the base copy is back up to like 35 or something like that. So pretty good pull there, Steve. Congrats. We will sleeve that up here momentarily. Not bad, not bad. Yeah. The 2 biggest hits, there's a few good hits in the set, in the base set. Terror of the Peaks is certainly one of them. As I mentioned, Terror, I think, is up to like 35 again. Bristly Bill, I think, is like 35 for a base copy. So those are pretty pricey. All right, what do we got going on here for mana value? We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 15. 5, 8, 10, 15. 15 and a pretty good start. Breaking news, there's not a ton of action on there. It's breaking news is a large reprint, so you do have good playables on there. Force of Vigor, Thoughtseize, Reanimate, Mind Break Trap, and Mana Drain. Those are kind of the bigger ones. So there's a lot of playables on there, but a ton more value in the big score just because it's the only printing of those cards currently. All right, Zephy, on to you. Hey, how about we start off with, oh boy, that is an Overwhelming Forces. That is not the textured version. But is an 8 for mana value. So a Breaking News Mythic, that is an 8. Followed up by a Dust Bowl. Good reprint. Cheap, still really cheap to pick up too. We have a Mythic off of the Commander slot. That is Olivia, Opulent Outlaw. Really, really nice art on that. That is a 4. Insatiable Avarice in the extended art. I do like this card quite a bit. Also probably a few bucks. And then conclude with Malcolm, Malcolm, I want to say Keen Eyes, the Eyes. There's a few pretty good uncommons in there in the set. Whatever the one is, the bounce card. This town ain't big enough or whatever it is. Okay, so what do we have going on for mana value here? We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Despite the 8 from the Overwhelming Forces, only a total of 15. 8, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Sure. All right. There is the possibility of raised foil big score cards and textured breaking news tend to average about 1 each per case. So per every 6 collector boxes tends to be about the average. David F., your turn. How about we start off, Molten Duplication. Nice. So it is an extended art foil Molten Duplication. I think these are also climbing now. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff and now valuable stuff on the big score sheet. And this is one of those cards that's been creeping its way up recently. That's actually a pretty nice hit. That is a 2. Followed by an unlicensed art. Still a great Graveyard Hate card. That is also a 2. Smoldering Stagecoach. That is a 4. It is a big score. It is a showcase. It unfortunately is not one of the bigger draws off of the big score sheet. That is Memory Vessel. But nevertheless, another big score card and a showcase version. That is a 5 for mana value. And then conclude with Satoru the Infiltrator, which is also a 2. I will take the time to sleeve up said Memory Vessel as well as the Molten Duplication. Actually, I think the base copy of Duplication is now like 15 or something like that. So that extended art foil, probably a pretty decent hit. All right, so we have ourselves a 2 plus 5. That's 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, really? 4, 9, 14. Oh, wait. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Am I bad at math? I mean, I know I am bad at math. 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, whenever I do it backwards, 4 plus, 4, 8. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, 15. Sure, how about triple 15 to start? Okay. All right. Brandon Aaron, if you would like to get something besides a 15 for mana value, that will guarantee to put you into the high or the low for the moment. Okay, here we go. Ooh, nice. Borderless Foil Jace Reawakened. This card was really popping when the set previewed. People were like another 2-drop Planeswalker, maybe really good. Never quite took off, but nevertheless, beautiful borderless foil Jace Reawakened. How about another mythic? How about Grindstone? Neat. This was a really nice reprint of Grindstone as well. Isn't carrying a ton of value, but I think that makes an excellent time to pick up, I think. About back-to-back mythics. That's not bad. Back in Town, that is a 3. Followed by a Colossal Rattleworm. That is a 4 for mana value. And then conclude with a Pitiless Carnage, which is also a 4 for mana value. So let me sleeve up the old Grindstone. Jace. And let's see what we got going on here. So we have ourselves a 2, 3, 7, 11, 14? Is that right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Sure. So you are technically, Brandon and Aaron, in the low at this moment with the 14. So after the first round, 15, 15, 15, 14. Sure, doesn't get a lot tighter than that, does it? Steve H., back to you. A couple of decent hits so far. A lot of ball game left. Here we go. We are going to start with a Obeka, Splitter of Seconds in the extended art foil. I love this Obeka. It's a pretty good commander. There's a 4 for mana value. Next, Villainous Wealth, sweet reprint. That is a 3 for mana value. Into Dune Chanter, also a 3 for mana value. High Noon, which is a 2, pretty annoying card. And conclude with a Duelist of the Mind. All right. For all that, I don't think we've seen a uncommon, this town ain't big enough. Mana value, 2, 4, 7, 10, 14. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 it is. All right, should probably make it so I can read my handwriting. Steve, that brings you to a 29 after 2 packs. Zeffy, back to you. I feel like it's time for some more big scores. It's actually been a minute since I pulled a Bristly Bill. Wouldn't mind seeing one of those today. Here we go. We start off with an Outlaws Merriment. Actually downgraded to a rare. It used to be, when it was originally printed, it was at Mythic. Decent card in Limited. That is a 4 for mana value. Followed by a Surgical Extraction. We'll count that as a 1. Good old Surgical. Cactus Preserve, that is a 0. So this is a pretty low mana value pack thus far. Another Duelist in the Mind, this time as the extended art. And we conclude with a free Strider Lookout, that is a 3 for mana value. And that will do it there. So what do we got going on here? We have a 3, 4, 5, still 5, 6, 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, Zeffy, that brings you to a 25 after your second pack. David F., back to you. We start off with a Step Between Worlds. That is a 5. That's a Mythic. Oh, that's a good one. Man, David still rolling. David has been en fuego recently. That is the biggest of hits off of the off the breaking news. Good old Mana Drain, also creeping its way back up because it's just a really good card. 2 for mana value and a heck of a hit. Congrats, David. Sand Scout, that is a 2. But another Mythic. How about Lost Jite, extended art off of the biggest score? That is a 1. And a Vraska the Silencer, pack foil Vraska. That was a pretty good pack. Sleeve up the old Mana Drain. Sleeve up Vraska. Sleeve up Jite. What do we got going on for mana value after all of that? 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 13, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 it is. Dave, that will put you at a 28. But you have yourself a Mana Drain and a Molten Duplication already. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right, Brandon Aaron, back to you. You had the low by the slightest of margins after the first round with a 14 mana value. The current low is, new low is 25 by Zeffy. Otherwise, Steve is in the high with a 29. Here we go. We start off with a Decimate, that is a 4. Followed by a Fell the Mighty, which is a 5. Into Savvy Trader out of that commander slot, that is a 4. Step Between Worlds, this is 5 mana value, and this is not a low mana value pack. And but then Inspiring Vantage after that. That's actually our first of the lands we've seen. Pretty good land cycle still, too. Not bad, OTJ, not bad. All right, so what do we got going on here for mana value? We have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 18, right? 4, 9, 13, 18 it is. Brandon Aaron, that's a 18 plus your 14. That's going to bring you to a 32, which actually does vault you into the high now for the moment. So after 2 rounds, Steve H with a 29, Zeffy in the low with a 25, David F with a 28, Brandon Aaron in the high with a 32. I would say it's pretty wide open still. All right, last round. Good luck, everybody. Steve, we start with you. Start off with a Seraphic Steed Extended Art Foil. I do like this steed. Reanimate. Hey, pretty good card there off of the breaking news. Lovely reprint. Does carry some good value as well. That is a 1/4 mana value. Smirking Spelljacker. That is a 5. Oh, we got a Showcase Mythic off of the big score. It is Tarnation Vista. Moderate. That is a 0 for mana value, though. And an Annie Joins Up, which is also actually a pretty good card. That is a 4 for mana value. And that will do it there. So let me sleeve up said Tarnation Vista. Actually seems like a fairly low mana value pack, though. 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 4. That is a 12. Let me run that back here. 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 4, that is a 12. 6, 7, plus 5, 12. Yep, okay. Steve, I'll bring to a 41. 41. Okay. Zeffy, you currently have the low with a 25. Endless Detour as a breaking news foil. That is a 3. We have a mythic. Anguished Unmaking. All right, so breaking news mythic Anguished Unmaking. That is a 3 for mana value as well. Into Angelic Sellsword. That is a 5 from the commander slot. Kellen Joins Up, a 3. And Worldwalker Helm. Hey, that is not a bad hit, actually. I think Worldwalker Helm is probably right around 10-ish. Not a terrible hit. That is also a 3 for mana value. All right, I'm going to sleeve up the Helm. I'm going to sleeve up the Anguished. And let's add up some mana value. So we have ourselves a 3, 6, 9, 14, 17, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, and 17. It's going to bring you to a 42, which oddly enough actually takes you out of the low and for the moment into the high. Okay, David F., you had a 28. You are currently chasing 14 for the high, so 15 to take over the high outright, or the low is 41. It's going to be one of those really weird battles. Here we go. Start off with a borderless foil Blooming Marsh. I do like these lands in the land cycle. I think the borderless art looks really good on them. That is a 0. Void Rend. That is a 3. Rumbleweed. Well, that's going to be a difference maker. That's an 11. Oh, first of the wanted posters we've seen in this box. Yeah. That is Ariette, the Beguiler. That is a 4 for mana value. And conclude with a Lotus Ring Big Score. Lotus Ring, that's one of those cards that you're like, oh, it has Lotus in the title. And like, I think people really wanted it to be good. It had some hype and has not found a home to this point. But it is a Big Score Mythic. And you also have yourself a Rumbleweed. So this is going to get very interesting as far as the high is concerned. 11 plus 3, 14, 18, 21. That's pretty high. 7, 8, 9, 10, 21. That puts you at a 49 and pretty firmly puts you in the high for the moment. But for all of that, Brandon and Aaron were at a 32. So they're actually only 17 behind for mana value for the high, or 9 below for the low. So the high seems like probably the slightly better route. Here we go. Brandon Aaron, you're chasing 17 out, 18 for the outright win on the high. We start with a Kellen Joins Up. That is a 3. Followed by a Path to Exile. That is a 1. That's pretty low. Greywater's Fixer, which is a 4. You are going to need some help at this point. Oh, it's a mythic though. Oh, hey, Extended Art Railway Brawler. Nice. I like this card quite a bit. And if you were unfamiliar with it, pause and read it. It's pretty good. All right, that is a 5 for mana value. Pretty solid pull there. And then conclude with a Ty Joaquin Perfect Shot. I do not believe that's going to be enough for the high nor the low. Hey, there's a this time ain't big enough though. Let me sleeve up the Brawler real quick. Solid pull to end things for sure. So we have ourselves a 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 15. Let me run that back. 3, 4, 8, 10, 15. Gonna be a little short. That will put you at a 47. So Steve, for all of that, ended up in the low with a 41. Zeffy with a 42. David F. pulls it out with a 49 for the high. And Brandon and Aaron with a 47. So there's the low. There's the high. Another close battle. Pretty solid OTJ box also. Definitely some nice hits in there between the Terror, the Mana Drain, Molten Duplication. A couple of the other big score cards as well. Steve H., you have the low, you have the honors. Let's see if we can add to the OTJ spoils. Land ourselves a big score, if you will. Okay. About Archangel of Ties. Extended Art Foil Archangel of Ties. Actually, this was a pretty expensive card prior to the reprint as well. So that's really fun. Not a bad little hit there. Outlaws Merriment. Bounty Board again. Sure. Fortune, Loyal Steed. And conclude with a Stoic Sphinx. But Archangel of Tithe is actually not a bad little hit there. Sleeve that up right after this. All right, David F., continuing your hot streak. Just absolutely crushing it recently. Here we go. Bonnie Paul, an absolute bomb in Limited. Archive Trap. Oh, I love me some Archive Trap. Smirking Spelljacker. Outcaster Trailblazer. And an Obeka. All right. No huge hits there, but a solid showing for you regardless. Yeah, so there you go. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button for me. Hit the like button for me. And by all means, drop me some comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, everybody, and be well.